It's time for SWCD Partyline today for your final day of April, Friday, April the 30th, 2021. SWCD Partyline is brought to you by Wimmer Optician St. Cloud and Chiropractic Connection of St. Joseph. My name is Brad Melke. Good morning. Sunshine, 42 is our temp. Up to 60 today. Partly cloudy, partly sunny skies. Tonight, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, the big 80 in the forecast. Partly cloudy and 80 for tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 51, partly cloudy by Sunday. Maybe some scattered rain showers, 67, and then Monday cooling down to 57 and cloudy skies, and maybe a little bit of sun thrown in on Monday as well. SWCD Partyline, we have in studio with us our usual Dennis Fuchs, Administrator, Soil and Water Conservation District. Oh, yeah! Chris Hogue, National Resources Conservation Service District Conservationist. Chris!
Good morning.
Morning. And along with Chris and Dennis today, we have Tom Gregory, the SWCD Supervisor, and also we've got Mark Lefebvre, Conservation Planner. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brad.
Good morning.
Oh, it's a party.
Yeah, well, I'd like to thank Tom and Mark for joining us today. Tom is our Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor. Listeners in Stearns County, thank you very much for voting for Tom to be our supervisor. He does a fantastic job of keeping me and our staff in line, and appreciate him being here. And so they participated in a very special study. But before we get into that, I think it'd be just kind of nice to have those guys introduced to what, Tom, a little bit about your farm. I know you hosted Breakfast on the Farm a couple times, so there's probably listeners got a pretty good feel, but I'm sure there's other listeners that go, Tom Gregory, how come I haven't, that name sounds familiar, but I can't put a name to the face. Do you want to talk just a little bit about your farm?
Okay, we have a 600 cow dairy, and it's owned by my wife and I, and my brother Edward and my son Nick, and
You need some water?
We've been involved with conservation for many years. I'll just talk about the farm for a second. It was purchased by my grandfather in the mid-40s, and then his sons split it up and took it over. But that farm was soil raped in the 30s, and so that's why we got into conservation to try to build it back up again. There was a hill where there was a lot of washing and so forth, and we turned that into contours in the mid-60s, and then because of the way the wind was still whipping across in light soil, then we started making smaller plots, 10-acre plots, and after we got irrigation, we were able to move it up again. But we've been watching the organic matter, using cover crops. We've been building the organic matter up again, and we're really satisfied with the way things are working out there.
Cool. Thanks, Tom. And then Mark, you've worked with a lot of farmers in Stearns County, but maybe just a little background on where you came from and how long you've been working here.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a title change recently with our reorganization, and so I'm a conservation planner, and I've been with the district for 16 years now. Time goes by fast when you're having fun, I guess.
There you go. That's what I like to hear.
So I grew up on a dairy farm over in the Albertville area, and farmed with my dad and brother for a while, went to college, and so here I am. I really enjoy working with especially the dairy farmers in Stearns County. So my primary duties have been to work with the Water Quality Certification Program. It's kind of a whole farm assessment done on all the cropland, and it gives a score from 1 to 10, and to be certified, you need 8.5. And I've talked about that a lot, and we have on KASM before. But it's a good, I think, tool to really open up the conversation with farmers on where we can make improvements. And so, yeah, I look forward to, continuing that work in the future here.
Great. So we had a special project that we did, and this is part of our Headwaters of Ag Sustainability Partnership. And that's a unique public-private group of folks. Includes crop consultants and Syngenta, former General Mills sustainability manager, Houston Engineering, local dairy farmers. And what we were looking at is folks that get certified through the Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification Program. How does their profitability or return on investment compare to others? So we, the HASP, the Headwaters of Ag Sustainability Partnership, along with the Environmental Initiative, submitted a grant to do an analysis of this. And we worked with the Central Lakes College out of Staples, Keith Olander, who does a lot of farm business management oversight across the state. Pulled together the application along with the folks at Environmental Initiative, and we were lucky enough to get the application approved to do this at a return on investment analysis with folks that are either Minnesota Ag Water Quality certified or not. They get look at a variety of farms throughout Minnesota, and that is just one of the things that they can pull out is if they're certified or not certified, and then they can look at the profitability. So we dug in and got 3 farmers here in Stearns County to evaluate this and really dig into their inputs and outputs and costs of doing business. And Tom was one of those farmers, along with Mark. Who were the other 2 farmers that also participated in the study?
So Steve Schlongen was the other farmer, and Kerfeld Hillview Farms.
And you guys are going to talk a little bit about now what you guys discovered. Tom, you want to tell us a little bit about what you did on your farm and how it's working?
Well, first it works with the records, so the record keeping as far as tonnage on corn and tonnage on alfalfa, and the yield increase. After using cover crops, that was determined, in the profitability of each one. And it also had a graph on soil carbon, soil conservation, and greenhouse gas. And being a dairy farmer, greenhouse gas, it showed that we were high on that. The rest of them, we were in the middle of most of the graphs.
The listeners are probably going, there's some dead air there. And I was just looking at Tom, and Tom was looking at me.
He's looking at some data.
He's got some data from it. He's going to share this with you. Just hang on, listeners.
Why don't we take a break for some news information? We'll take some news, a break at 9:30. We'll bring you some weather and markets, and then we'll continue our conversation with our guests. We'll talk more about the ROA project and some of the results that Tom has found by doing what he has done for the stuff that they have studied for to determine some factors. We'll run down some of that data and more and compare the other farms as well and continue our conversation here on Answers Partyline. Again, 43 degrees. Looks like a beautiful day today. Beautiful day today. Up to 60, 43 right now. Let's take a news break. News, weather, brownfield information. All coming up on KASM Radio. We are your dependable neighbor. More Answers Partyline. My name is Brad Melke. Good morning. Visiting with our representatives from the Soil and Water Conservation District, Natural Resources Conservation Service. We've got Chris Hogue, Dennis Fuchs. We've got Tom Gregory. We've got Mark Lefebvre, all in studio, talking about this ROA project, a return on investment project. Again, Dennis, what was that rundown, kind of the basic of what was determined?
Yeah, so we're looking at the profitability of Minnesota Ag Water Quality certification farms versus the ones that were certified versus the ones that weren't. And there's a study going on across the state. And then we did a deep dive on 3 farms here in Stearns County, Kerfelds, Steve Schlongen, and Tom Gregory. And Mark did work with Tom to get him certified. And maybe before Tom talks a little bit, maybe just some of the work that Tom already had done, and then, what Tom had to do, and then Tom talk a little bit about how you're making this happen and how you're using the cover crops and that type of thing.
So, yeah, when we did the assessment at Tom's farm, we do the initial assessment, get his baseline information, tillage, nutrient management, pest management, irrigation, because he does some irrigation. And he already had a firm or a sound base, had good scores. His tillage was low, or actually his tillage was good, I meant. The only one thing he adopted to get certified really was irrigation water management. He had buffers along surface water, so the risk assessment, which the water quality certification assessment was really good. So he does some cover cropping. And maybe, Tom, do you want to talk a little bit about your cover cropping?
Okay, we've been working with cover crops since 2012. We've tried different things. We started out with barley, and we found out that winter rye is the strongest cover crops to make it through the winter and the spring for as late as what we seed the cover crop in. Normally, we chop corn silage in the middle of September and we apply liquid manure, and then the cover crop is seeded in after that. And so usually it has an inch or two of height as it goes into the winter. And then in the spring, it's all ready to take off. And like now it's about 4 or 6 inches high. And we're going to let it grow until probably close to June 1st. And then we'll cut it. And then we'll apply liquid manure again. And then we'll plant a shorter day hybrid corn into that. And so the cover crop usually yields about 1.5 tons dry matter. And that's taking it down to 15% moisture. And then the corn that follows, normally, you have a little bit of yield reduction because of being planted later and because you're using a shorter hybrid corn. But normally we're on 170 bushel acre corn, so we're getting about 17, 18 ton an acre. So it's a good trade-off for what we get there. And we've noticed with the winter rye that when I work with a crops consultant, we started in 95, and he retired when I'm working with Inez now. But anyway, we went through the books the other day, and we found that some fields, the organic matter increased as much as 1%. Most of them are 3% or whatever. But the other thing I noticed with having used the cover crops is that our water holding capacity is much better. Soils that used to dry out when there was a short dry spell, they just hang in there. And so it's been working good for us, and we don't have open land in the winter to blow. The cover crop keeps all the soil in place, and so it's doing a wonderful thing for us.
So we're right now kind of in the middle of analyzing this return on investment data. So we're looking at the 2019 and the 2020 information where we've done this deep dive on these 3 farms. And in general, the profitability, net farm income is improved. As a whole, across the state of Minnesota, Farm Business Management also can do a sort by the farms that are certified. And in 2019, the average net farm income was $19,000 higher for certified farms compared to non-certified. And in 2020, it was $40,000 higher net farm income for the certified farms. So, you have to take into account, the cost to adopt some of these conservation practices. But by this data right now, it looks like, it does pay in the long run. And we have to look at this long-term, net farm income to show that these conservation practices do pay.
Mark, did you keep every year, was it always consistent, or did you do little tweaks year, then the following year, then the following year?
So this was a very high-level analysis. Okay. So, as far as what the farmers would adopt is really farm-dependent. So if they would need, to reduce tillage, you don't need to do cover crops to get certified. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's individual to the farm. We talk about different options to get certified. It may be buffers. It may be trying to reduce some tillage. Maybe following University of Minnesota guidelines as far as nitrogen and phosphorus. And so it's individual by farm. So it's really hard to determine what the cost was by individual farm.
Or the actual outcome of, okay, hypothetically, if you go it this way, this is what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, we can do those kind of what ifs. Yeah, on an individual basis. But more of this return on investment by farm information, I think will help us, because in 2020, all 3 farms actually did some cover cropping, where in 2019 they didn't, and it was more of the weather because it was such a late fall and they didn't get that in. So we will be able to make a pretty good comparison once we get the 2020 data. And there was 2 environmental metrics I should mention that were used for the return on investment project. It was both the water quality certification assessment and the field to market assessment. And that's they're 2 different, but we can use those to make a good comparison compared to statewide or region-wide.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So go ahead, Tom. Were you going to share something?
I was just going to add with the winter rye, we do not till. We plant directly into it, then we burn it down like a week or two later. We found with trying to till winter rye, it has such an aggressive root system, and you just can't seem to get it mellowed out at all. It's better off just go right in there and put it in, and when it comes up, burn it off, and then it works so much better. And then you're saving money on the tillage as well. So
that's a great point, Tom. And if there are any listeners out there that are farmers that are interested in learning more about the Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification Program, give us a call at the office, 251-7800, extension 3. And we can get Mark set up with you, and other staff are getting trained and doing the assessment. So it's just a great opportunity also to open the doors to additional funding. If you're Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certified or working towards certification, you can also get $5,000 to help pay for this cover crop seed or other conservation practices you'd like to install in your farm to get certified. So that is a great opportunity. The 12-pack of beer, I always like to bring that up because, there's some folks out there that really enjoy that 12-pack of beer. And then also our federal partners, Chris, we have a special regional conservation partnership program that is trying to leverage farmers that are working toward Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification.
Correct. We do have some programs. One of those is EQIP. That is utilized for installing practices. You can use that. That program is soon to open or is opening right now. We have a sign up going on for Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certified folks that if you are Minnesota Ag Certified or you are transitioning to Minnesota Ag Certified, then you can sign up for the program and it will help provide incentives or assistance to work with like setting up cover crops or some of the other erosion control practices that might be necessary for you to be Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certified.
What about nutrient management?
Oh yeah, it will also provide assistance for nutrient management. No-till and I believe irrigation. It will also be a practice that is something that you can get assistance with, and that would help with getting those practices up or prepared for Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification.
Is that certification ongoing throughout, just continuously?
Correct, I believe it is, but the EQIP has a deadline, and that deadline hasn't been set yet. We haven't had any bulletins that come out and when that deadline is set, but I'm figuring it's going to be right around the corner. So, if you are interested and you're trying to transition to Minnesota Ag Water Quality, please give the office a call or call Mark or whoever you're working with for Minnesota Ag Water Quality, and they can hook you up with somebody from the NRCS staff that will help you walk through that process and hopefully get you funded for those practices that you're interested in implementing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we know now is a busy time for farmers. I mean, we're sitting in here and it's sunny and it's going to hit 60 and 80 tomorrow, and we know farmers are going to be busy. So get your field activities done and then put it on your to-do list the middle of May to give us a holler, and we'll get out and complete that assessment. Chris has got something to add here.
For those of you who are busy in the field, if you give us a phone call, my staff is set up to meet you out in the field, and we're not shy of getting out there and meeting with you in the field and working with you right there. We can do a lot of work just off of aerial photography, a phone call, and basically working off of a digital type platform. And then once everything's ready to go, meet you and review things, we can review it in the tractor. It wouldn't be the first time I've sat with a farmer and we've discussed things as we're harvesting or planting. So if you're interested and you want to work through this, we'll be more than happy to make whatever time we can to provide you the excellent customer service.
Yeah, so maybe if you've got just a couple minutes right now to grab your phone and put our phone number in your phone, which is 320-251-7800, extension 3. And if you do dial the number, you just you can't get extension 3 in your cell phone because it's like, what, extension 3? Just dial and then hit 3 when it rings. So we're there, and we're there to help. And once again, hopefully you grabbed your phone and you put that number in there, and it's 320-251-7800. So that's a great way to get a hold of us. And like Chris said, he said my staff. Well, it's really our staff that are willing to get out in the field.
Oh, so you're saying now the partnership is working? I was just kind of curious how that worked, because one time I'm not. No, oh, it's your radio show, and I'm just trying to get this all laid out. Which one is when I'm a partner and when I'm not a partner? But for folks who are just put down and kept the phone number, one thing you might want to do is maybe bookmark, and I'll let Dennis say the website, but bookmark the website, and that has everybody's email addresses. And if you're interested, you can contact somebody on staff that way. Just send us an email, say, hey, I'm interested in Minnesota Ag Water Quality, and somebody will get back to you within 5 days, and we'll start the process.
Yeah, for the website, thanks, Chris, for the partnership statements there.
Yeah.
You guys want to hug now, or what do you want to do?
Well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm busy right now. But just Google Stearns SWCD NRCS, and it'll pop up. And all the information is right there. It's a great website. We actually are going to be working on revising it here later this year, but all of the staff are there, and the general phone number, once again, is 320-251-7800, extension 3. And we do have people there to answer the phone, and they can relay the phone call to the appropriate staff person. So just want to let listeners know too. When we had our last break, we had a caller call and ask about funding for manure storage systems, and we are aware of a lot of our farmers in Stearns County. Typically, in the past, if we had a farmer that was interested in a manure storage system, we were able to get them funding because they had a resource concern, and we also could incorporate nutrient management, do a comprehensive nutrient management plan. We were able to address all of the erosion concerns on their farm. Well, those funds are not as available as they have been in the past. We are working with our Minnesota Association of Soil Water Conservation Districts and our National Association of Conservation Districts to improve the amount and increase the amount of conservation funding. And this is going to take us a little bit of time, but the new administration seems to be a little more optimistic with funding, like toward the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, the Conservation Stewardship Program, and also the Conservation Reserve Program. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get some additional dollars. And if you're going to use federal dollars, helping our farmers address their resource concerns, our board feels that's one of the best ways that we can use federal dollars is to make sure that we sustain our ag systems and make sure that they help us conserve our natural resources. Speaking of that, a lot of the public doesn't always get out to see what farmers are up to, and Tom is on the Breakfast on the Farm committee, and we are going to be trying to do something a little bit different this year in a pandemic, even though it's winding down, hopefully. You guys are working on a Breakfast on the Farm, and where's that going to be at?
Okay, it'll be at Kerfield Hillview Farm. That's near Melrose. It'll be Saturday, June 5th from 7:30 to 1:30. It's a free event. It will include a drive-through tour of the Kerfield family-owned robotic dairy farm. Visitors will learn more about how the team at Hillville cares for their cattle and by embracing the latest technology available. A complimentary bag breakfast is provided. There will also be opportunities to learn more about agriculture businesses throughout the Stearns County and the positive impact farming has on our local communities. Come join the many agriculture committee sponsors to celebrate June's Dairy Month and bring the whole family to this event. It's a wonderful thing. We had so many sponsors, and like the first bag that you get when you come in will be cheese and bananas, and there'll be some educational stuff. There'll be a bag handed to you. It'll be at the Melrose School, and then there'll be a video that you can get on your cell phone on the way there. There'll be a pilot car to lead you there because it's just going to be a drive-through event. You won't be getting out of the car at all. So we don't want to cluster cars coming at one time. So when we get probably maybe 20 cars together or 10 cars together, then we'll head for the farm and it'll be a drive-through thing, and there'll be people positioned all over, and it'll just be a fun event. The people on the staff here or on the committee, they work really hard to try and make this work out, with the pandemic and so forth, and we're really excited, and we're sure it's going to work fine. So we hope to see you out there.
So, Tom, are they going to be providing breakfast, or how's that going to work?
It'll be a free breakfast. It won't be the traditional pancake breakfast. It'll be a, how do you say, croissant? It'll be a sandwich,
Fancy sandwich.
When Sarah Rourke was telling me about it, I said, corsage is something you give your girl on prom night. I said,
corsage.
So anyway, we went back and forth about that, so it was fun, but it'll be different, but it'll still be great. And again, we thank all the people. So many people have donated so many things, like the cheese and the bananas and the milk and everything, and all the money that was donated by all these people. And last year we couldn't have it, but this year we decided we got to do something. And so the Kerfield family is just a great, great family, and they're involved in a lot of things, just like they're partnering with this HASP thing as well. So our hats are off to the Kerfield family, and we really thank you for putting up with us.
Do you have to register ahead of time or anything? Or
No, you just come to the high school,
Okay.
Melrose High School.
Okay, good.
So.
Thanks, Tom, for sharing that. Hopefully we'll have some folks from the NRCS SWCD team out there to talk a little bit about some of the things that we can help with in addressing any resource concerns that farmers have. And as the spring busy season is upon us, Chris wanted to talk a little bit about farm safety and just slowing down out there on the roads.
I'm not sure I need to talk about it now. You kind of just covered it. It's just kind of slow it down when you're out there on the roads, because when you're driving, it doesn't seem like those tractors are going, or it doesn't seem like you're going as fast, and those tractors aren't moving very fast. So make sure that you're slowing down when you're coming around, and make sure you're watching what the tractor is doing, because a lot of times they don't see you or can't see you because you're behind them, and they may make a quick turn. And
share that story that you shared with me this morning.
I was reading in an article, and this is the reason why it came out. I was reading an article where a guy was spreading manure, and a vehicle, he was driving, and he felt his tractor shook, and he was headed out to the field with his manure tank, and ended up out in the field and couldn't get the bar to go down. Come to find out when he walked around that somebody had come in and hit the backside of his tank and basically died on impact. So those are the kind of things we don't want to have happen here in Stearns County or anywhere in Minnesota. So please be careful when you're out on the roads, because those tractors and things are not moving as fast, and you need to be careful. I was going to bring up a couple other things. One of those is there's still a CRP sign-up going on. So if you have any extra locations that you might want to put into CRP, please contact the FSA office. The staff will help you get that stuff put together. It's a great opportunity. One of the things we always say is farm the best, buffer the rest. And that's kind of what that is kind of looking at. So if you have some wet spots or things that are really difficult to farm, that's an opportunity to maybe do some sort of a wetland type of a enhancement through CRP. It's a really good program to take care of those and address those areas. You're putting a lot of inputs into those and not getting much back for crops. So you might as well just seed it down and then go around it. And one of those ways we can make that into more of a square shape, or we can tie it to an edge of a field. For CRP, usually it's a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-4 ratio. And we have staff in the office that more than happily will work with you to get that stuff established, even give you an estimate and kind of show you what it would look like on the map. And we have just excellent staff who are well trained in a lot of different aspects of the farm. So if you ever have any questions or anything, feel free to call any of the staff in the Stearns County Soil and Water NRCS office, and we'll make sure that we get back to you on things.
Final thoughts, Dennis?
Thanks, Chris. Chris and I pick on each other a little bit, but we want to let listeners know that the NRCS SWCD team is strong and that the strength is working together as a partner. And a lot of times when landowners come in and work with our staff, they don't know if they're working with NRCS and SWCD or SWCD staff, and that's the way we like to keep it. And we're a great team, and we are recognized across the United States as one of the premier USDA service centers in the country, and it's partly because of our team, our board of supervisors, and the farmers and landowners here in Stearns County. So thank you all, and be safe.
Very good. From SWCD NRCS, Dennis Fuchs, Chris Hogue, Tom Gregory, and also Mark Lefebvre joining us here on KASM Radio. It's 10 o'clock. We'll have some news coming up, KASM Radio.